Welcome to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. Hey, you know what's better than walking down the street and seeing a nice crisp $10 bill sitting there? Discovering some new music. More on that later in this podcast. Listen now. I think what was your advice that you just gave? What was that again?
When in doubt, pull it out. Okay. In reference to my headphones plugged into the
it's true
interface.
And I was thinking the other good advice was when in doubt, defecate indiscriminately. That was the other one, right?
Yes. Well, you know, my grandma had horses growing up, so they...
How free that must be, man. Just like, you know what?
Showed me the way.
I'm feeling it. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
And then just walk away with no remorse whatsoever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what the Metallica song's all about.
It's mostly about free defecation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Just wandering around the meadow.
Fist in the air. You're like, yeah, free defecation.
Hoof in the air.
Exactly. Yeah, and then, you know, glue.
Absolutely.
They become glue. Yeah.
So speaking of hooves.
Okay. Are we talking about Sharon Osbourne? I'm sorry, Sharon. Don't sue me. I'm so sorry. That was not fair.
Well, you're not too far off. We're talking about... so this is going to lead to our topic today. So speaking of hooves of the cloven variety.
Okay. As one does. This is a typical conversation everyone has, you know.
Yes, dude, I discovered...
I was thinking about cloven hooves the other day.
Right, well, I mean, don't we all?
Just typical, you know.
Right.
You just have a conversation. Oh, yeah.
I was just chatting with Baphomet the other day.
Exactly.
You know.
See, I'm more of a you know... I'm like a Lovecraftian kind of person, so it's
ooh, so you'd rather stare into
me
the
hanging
abyss.
into Cthulhu. That's the person I'm usually chilling with. We're like vibing, as the kids say.
Yes,
you know?
you're vibing with the abyss.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. I dig that
with the sleepless one. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. With Toth Agatoth.
Yeah, well, we were actually just watching the Clippers game and watching Harden go for 25 the other day, and we were just like, dude, that was rad. I'm like, you know what, Cthulhu, it was rad.
Yeah,
that's how we talk. That's just how we're boys. So
I mean, you could also spin that as, you know, I was watching a Los Angeles-based sports team have success at their given sport.
Yeah, I mean, I know at the end of the day the joke's on them because the Kings will be there when things are done. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
When the Clippers are long at home sleeping.
Dude, Clippers are going to be a tough out if, I mean, they're...
Nah, they got James Harden and Westbrook, dude. They're gonna self-immolate at some point.
I'm not worried about Westbrook, but, I mean, they're long.
They are, and they've got Kawhi, who's a great player. They got Paul George, who's a great player, but is never healthy, so he's not making it through the season. So it's, you know, it's going to be... They're going to self-immolate at some point. It's going to come down to like the Nuggets, the Kings, the Timberwolves. You know,
yeah, well, I don't
in the West at least.
I don't see the Clips taking... I don't see them taking the Nuggets. I don't know. I want to believe in Boston still.
I don't think Boston actually exists. It's just a fairy tale. I don't think it's truly there. You know,
it's there.
There's a town with some of the greatest schools in the world, but also some of the biggest lunkheads the world's ever come to produce too. This can't exist at the same time. Unless we're in some kind of multiverse where you have like these mini worlds thing happening. Maybe that's perfect proof of that. I don't know. But I know I deny that Boston exists. I don't think Boston actually exists.
You know, I've been there.
Okay, this is just a liar telling yourself now, right?
Mm-hmm. Dude, they sell fried dough like out on the streets. It's delicious.
Is it on the actual streets? You just pick it off the streets like everywhere you go?
That's right, yeah.
There's so when you're fried dough on the street?
Like on the way to John Adams' grave. Yeah, so there's just fried dough.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a King Diamond song, man. He's like describing it, you know.
Oh, John Adams.
On my way to John Adams' grave. Ooh, there's some fried dough. Delicious.
The fried dough. Yes.
What was I saying? Yeah. Wait, are we recording this? That's the lyrics to that fictional King Diamond song.
You know what's great about it? I mean, it's just a donut, but they don't fuck around with trying to make it into like a circular-ready shape.
Yeah.
They just whoosh and then put some powdered sugar on it.
That actually is very much reminiscent of the oliekoek, which is a Dutch early fry bread that was the precursor to the donut. Just thought I would throw it out there.
That's great.
Something that when the people left Britain because of religious persecution, people what we call the Pilgrims, they went to Holland for a while and they got a taste for that and they brought it with them to the New World. So,
right, where they could then persecute others with their religion.
Where they could go and they could do genocide subsequently. But hey, they had fried donuts.
But they had donuts,
so that's something that, they can't all be all that bad. They had donuts.
Well, religious persecution marches on its stomach.
Exactly right. You have to fuel that somehow, man.
You've got to.
You can't not persecute people. Come on.
Dude,
That's just
Torquemada and the
crazy.
Inquisition. He was well fed.
Exactly.
Yeah, like as he was burning witches at the stake, man, he had a big fat turkey leg.
No one
in his
burns
mouth.
witches at the stake like Americans, though.
Very true. Yes.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. I'm sorry. I just completely
No, that's
every
okay.
turn
So-
I'm trying to throw you off your course.
That's okay. So I'm unflappable.
Okay.
So I discovered my new favorite band this week,
Okay, what's your new favorite band?
Lucifer.
Does it not surprise me?
Dude, they're so good, and I'll get to that in a sec. But that brings us to today's topic:
Which is,
the joy of discovering new music.
yeah, that's totally, dude. It's it's almost like someone just came and gave you a Christmas gift. Like that's what it's like.
Except
you know
without stupid ass Christmas.
You know what I mean, though. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, like Saturnalia gift or whatever it might be.
Yeah, right,
You know,
or like
it's
a winter festival gift.
exactly. Some kind of Hallows Eve. What do they call it? What's the one that Sam Hain?
Or Sam Hain,
Sam
that's a
Hain
good
gift,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a it's funny because I had a cool moment with one of my students recently that revolved around gift giving.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll more on that later.
Okay. That's not the important part. Okay.
Yes, the important part is Lucifer.
Tell me about Lucifer. What's the deal? Are they
Okay.
a metal band? Are they power metal? Are they gothic metal? Are they death metal? What are we looking at?
All right. So, and I don't know how I slept on these guys. I guess their first album was released in 2015.
Where are they from?
Most of the band is from Sweden, of course.
yes.
And their lead singer, she's from Berlin, Germany.
Oh, okay. So it's a multinational European band. A lot of bands like that, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the band members, he also plays drums in Entombed,
Oh, okay.
famous Swedish death metal band.
Yep. You know, it's funny though. We kind of seem to think of like Europe. Okay, there's a bunch of different countries, but it's kind of similar to the United States. Like, there's our drummers from L.A. and then our singers from Nevada. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like they don't see it as like this different like countries like we do. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
the
I mean, they're
European Union,
countries. I mean, countries are states.
Yes, exactly. So they see
Right.
it like Germany and then Sweden. It's like, well, we're just kind of all different states in the European Union. You know, as opposed
Right.
to like here in the United States, it'd be like us saying like we have someone from Texas and someone from Nevada and someone from California. You know,
Yeah.
that's,
And then they have their own like stupid rednecks, and that explains Brexit.
do they have rednecks in Europe? I don't know.
Aside, I might have just got.
Do they have a big enough place to drive pickup trucks and stuff over there?
What is the European equivalent of corn trucks breakfast cereal?
I don't know. We'll have to. Anybody from Europe, please hit us up at our email, which would be that was a contact at xhsband.com.
That's right.
And let us know.
know.
Is there actually rednecks in Europe? I assume there probably is. I'm sure there are. You know,
There's got to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a fascinating question.
that is. So, I mean, something that really we should just stop everything we're doing right now and just do nothing but delve into that. Just okay.
Yes. What would European corn trucks breakfast cereal be? Would
It'd
it be like?
fueled by oat milk or something? Probably there. You know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like the bangers and mash equivalent, or
That's
I
just
don't know.
Britain. Come on.
You know, I've got a buddy from Scotland. I'll ask him. That's the UK.
Okay. Yeah, it's the UK. I mean, I don't know if you want to necessarily conflate them with Britain. I don't think they'd appreciate that too much, but
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I'll have to confirm. I think I asked him if they had like a social equivalent of the redneck,
yeah. Do you have any hillbillies in your country?
and he said no.
That's the right answer.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want
right.
to own that either, man. It's like, do you guys is Mississippi part of your country? No, no, it isn't.
Definitely not.
Much like Boston, it's fictional. It's something. It's a collective imagination thing.
Dude, you know Boston is real, man. They had like 3 really great albums.
No, they're from Connecticut, though. I think I'm pretty sure.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but still.
Yeah. So that I don't.
Dude, it's more than just a feeling.
That's true. It is more than a feeling because they're just another band out of Boston.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Oh man, playing in bars or Cadillac cars.
And actually, now thinking about it, Aerosmith's from there too, and suppose Extreme. Yeah, okay. That maybe exists. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
I just don't think there's enough evidence to say. You know? I heard Rogan say this the other day. You know, but did you know
no.
Boston doesn't exist? Like, oh my God, it doesn't. Okay, he knows. He's pretty smart.
He knows. Yeah. So I don't know how I slept on this band because they seem tailor-made for me. So it's kind of like the sound is, imagine Black Sabbath and ABBA formed a supergroup.
Wow,
It's so good.
that's hard to even get my head around. So it's very melodic then.
It's very melodic.
Okay.
It's very melodic. Is it
kind of ghosty, sort of in like that ghost vibe, but like more melodic maybe?
It's
or-
what I wish Ghost was musically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the songs are better.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, the songs are way better. And dude, and they embrace the whole horror movie vibe.
I can't imagine what you see in this band, Ryan. It just makes no sense to me why you like this.
Oh, dude, it's so great. And so I guess their 5th album was released recently.
So how did you discover them?
Dude, Apple Music. I just decided I was going to hop on Apple Music and take a browse.
Start just kind of looking around, and next thing you know, and
just browse through the metal category. I mean, I do that from time to time. I mean, most of the time I'm piggybacking off of something else I'm already listening to.
And there's like a suggestion, like you should listen to this band or something.
Yeah. Oh, and Anthem has a new album out as of 2023 anyway.
Oh,
right?
very cool.
So relatively speaking.
Yeah, last year.
Last year, yeah. So.
Or maybe whoever, because who knows when we record this podcast? It could be.
Because you never know.
This year, next year, last year, some year.
Right. It could be in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
This is us from the past talking to the future.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we tore a hole in the space-time continuum and dropped a podcast.
You know what you do? That's when you're defecating indiscriminately. That's what happes.
Yes.
You tear a hole in the carpet and the space-time continuum.
Dude, I feel like defecating indiscriminately is my cue for our obligatory 90s music joke.
Yeah, I would say that's actually a punk band name. Indiscriminate defecation.
I think that was like Nirvana's first name.
No, I think that was just what people describe the music as.
No, like I'm not kidding. No. It was fecal matter.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, well, Cobain called them fecal.
That's a little on the nose. They had to kind of change it around. You know what I mean?
He knew.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
many things he knew.
Yeah. Well,
except for how to play guitar well or sing.
Hey, he knew how to aim.
That's true. I'm not gonna give him too much credit. It was a shotgun.
Yeah, well, still.
Oh man.
Anyway, so Lucifer is awesome.
You know what's funny? I had a similar experience discovering. I remember back. It must have been like 10, 12 years ago. Actually, I discovered a bunch of new bands. I was getting pretty bummed. I think I was on like my 3rd Scott Allen Project album, and I remember just thinking like, man, all music sucks. This sucks. And then I remember seeing a Guitar World article on Gus G. And I'm like, who's this Gus G person? So I remember, he's the guitarist from Firewind. And I went into YouTube and I just put Firewind. And I remember the first thing that popped up was this video for a song called Breaking the Silence. And I remember like, I'll check it out. And I thought, at the end, I was like, jaw just like, whoa.
The silence was indeed broken.
I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is great. And then
Gus G's so good.
But that band, so good, Firewind. And I went like 3 or 4 or 5, and every one of them was great. And I was like, holy crap, these guys are really doing it. It got me thinking about what became Ex Aegis. I'm like, maybe you could do a real metal band.
Yeah.
Again, not like a new metal band, like a real metal, not a metalcore, not metal, not.
But like
disturbed.
actual metal, right?
Yeah, real
so like
metal.
Gus G, this must have been around like 2004 to 2006 kind of period for Gus G to break.
I think, yeah. I mean, he'd been around for a little bit at that point. I hadn't heard of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, because, it wasn't like social media was that big a thing back in like 2008 either. It was a relatively new concept. It was still MySpace back then. You know what I mean? MySpace and early Facebook. I don't think Instagram existed in 2008.
You know what sucks is that I'm trying to think back to 2008.
Yeah, well, I had a 3-year-old at that time. So it was one of those things where it was like really, couldn't focus on much. But
brutal.
But I remember discussing that with my peers at that time. Like, dude, have you heard of this band Firewind? And like, I was like the only one who I knew outside of the guys in my band who were like fired up about metal. Like, dude, this is awesome. They sound like Priest meets like, I don't know, like maybe the Scorpions or something like that. It's like really, really good. And then I remember off of that, I discovered Evergrey, and I discovered Camelot, and there's a few other bands kind of in. And then that kind of led in like Nightwish and a few other bands like that who were all kind of in that Euro metal scene.
Nice.
Camelot, I guess, is technically an American band. I discovered this recently. I think they sound like a European band, but I think they're actually from like Florida or something like that. But they have that same kind of gothic sort of power metal kind of thing. Really high level production.
Camelot. So like the guitar player's name is John, and then there's Ted on bass, and then Jackie.
No, the
on
singer
vocals.
for a long time was a guy named Roy, which could have been from Texas. But they sounded very European. And I mean, all those guys are legit. They had real players in those bands. They were playing real metal. It wasn't like earth shaking. It wasn't like, wow, this is a whole new paradigm of like when Dream Theater came out, that kind of changed things a little bit. That's like one of the last metal bands. I guess you could maybe argue like Periphery, Animals as Leaders, that kind of gent style music was kind of a different way of
virtuosity in guitar as a genre.
But that whole like genre of music too. Yeah. Now we have the Polyphias and the Chons and those kind of bands too. But I don't know if I would say that they've changed. They've moved into the YouTube space. There really aren't even bands anymore. They're more YouTubers who happen to put music out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of, but Gus though at that time, and then if that other group of bands, I remember discovering that and getting really fired up. Like, wow, there's some really great stuff being put out.
You got fire winded up.
Exactly, dude. That's a great band. To this day, I can go back and listen to that stuff, and it still is like, well, that's great. And there's a reason that Gus has got all these gigs coming his way. He's a great player, easy guy to get along with.
Yeah, I really wish he had been able to just have his way in Ozzy's band.
That was never going to happen.
I wish that could have happened.
I mean, I don't know what they're doing in Ozzy's band. The obvious thing to do is just like, okay,
I mean, Ozzy's gonna die soon.
well, we're all going to die, right? I mean,
No, I know that. But
spoiler, everybody. This is
right? Yeah.
Like, what? Me too? I'm like, yes, you too. Everybody.
Isn't that rad? Well, okay.
The old
Ozzy's
saying, nobody gets out of life alive.
right. So Ozzy's going to be cashing his chips in probably before you.
But
and I,
if you have
probably in the near future.
Oh, I mean, for sure before you and I. But it's
like, I don't. There's no
not that I'm
more
planning
Ozzy
anything
albums.
out there in the FBI.
Yeah. Right. You know, like we're not going to. I mean, Ozzy's career's over.
Yes, I mean, he's going to do like one more show in Birmingham or something like that. But obviously, what he should do, if he's going to do anything in the studio, which hopefully he still could do, get Jake and get Zach and have them each write like 5 tunes and maybe
pay them
and bring Gus in and like bring in some real players to write real music that not just whatever they're doing with Andrew Watt, this kind of weird.
Yeah, just pay Jakey Lee a bunch of money and do one last,
Yeah,
album.
Jake's probably got a bunch of stuff sitting there ready to go for the next Red Dragon Cartel thing.
Well, and Jake could write a bunch of new stuff.
Exactly.
Like
So could
writing
Zach.
for an Ozzy album. That
just
would be
do
the
a
thing.
legit, like maybe have each guy do like 4 songs and have Gus come in and do like 4 songs too, or maybe have Joe Holmes and Gus do 2 each, and then have like Zach and Jake each do 4. That's what you need to do. Go do that, and then actually write your own lyrics and your own melodies. Don't like have some songwriters come in and do that shit for you. You know what I mean? And you make a legit Ozzy album to go out on, and then go do it. 2 or 3 shows.
Hell, have Tony Iommi do a couple songs.
Well, he did that. So he did the Black Sabbath.
They already did the Black
Sabbath
Sabbath.
stuff.
Oh, they did 13. Yeah, that's right.
So they've already kind of closed that chapter. That's just the obvious thing to do is have those guys come in and have legit Ozzy players come in and play legit Ozzy music. And that's what they need to do. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to crash. The last album he's probably did is probably going to be his last album.
Yeah, dude, it's the curse of Post Malone.
What they really need to do though is they need to like do a record like that and then go do like 2 shows, film them like a Blu-ray kind of thing. You know what I mean? So you have Zach and Jake and Joe and Gus all come out and play. You know what I mean? That's just the obvious thing that should be done.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen though, because I think that they don't want to admit that there was any value added by those other people. They want to just.
Well, I mean, Ozzy couldn't do it, man. I don't think his health condition is such that.
You don't think he could do like 1 or 2 shows, like just
honestly,
in his hometown?
No, I don't think so. I think his, he's got the Parkinson's thing going on, and I mean, he's just not well off, man.
What I've heard from a lot of people, especially like when they're at that stage in the game, is that it's mostly about the travel is the issue. Like you don't have to be bus and plane everywhere and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, I've got no deep knowledge. I just have the memory of Ozzy at the Grammys that one year with Post Malone.
Flopping and stuff, and
where he was just a wacky waving like arm man. Yeah, Ozzy was, and it wasn't dignified, man. Yeah. I just think there's so much. This could be a whole other podcast topic, but being. As you grow older in an industry like
especially in an industry that's so youth oriented.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, man. I think it really gets harder and harder to maintain your dignity.
Yeah. Well, also you can't pretend like you're 26 anymore. Wherever you're 70 something. You know what I mean? You gotta, especially living the hard life like that dude's lived. I mean, he's lived a hard life.
Absolutely.
The fact he's even still alive is pretty amazing. You know what I mean? Same with the fucking Stones. How they stay alive? I don't. Those guys are in their 80s and they're still touring. How is that possible? Especially they weren't teetotalers at all. I mean, those guys were doing like everything you can imagine.
Yeah, they consumed. Just goes to show genetics.
I guess. I mean, by the way, speaking of which, did you hear that Carl Weathers died recently?
I did.
That actually really bummed me out.
Yeah, it bums me out a lot too.
I was like, oh man, I love Carl Weathers. That guy's awesome.
I love Rocky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only that, but Predator and all those.
Sure.
I mean,
Action Jackson.
Yeah, he still looked amazing. Actually, I just saw him like in the FanDuel commercial with Gronk the other day.
I think part of what's shocking about Carl Weathers is that he was such like a health symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in his older years, still violent,
still
right?
Big and muscular and stuff. That must have been like some heart condition.
He's the complete opposite of like what we're saying about Ozzy, like in decline. Like Carl Weathers never seemed like he was in decline ever.
Yeah.
You know, I fully expected him to live into his 80s at least.
Dude, like I remember he was even in like the Mandalorian. He's in that thing too. He looked very robust. Like he could kick someone's ass. You buy that he could kick someone's ass.
Right.
I didn't know he was 76 either. I thought he was like maybe late 60s. I didn't think he was like that old. It's like, dude, that was pushing 80. Really?
Yeah.
And he looks like he could kick your ass, dude. I mean,
and he probably would.
Yeah. I remember thinking like that dude looks like Carl Weathers. He does not like me. Sometimes you see someone you're like, wow, that's a shell of what they used to look like. But we saw him right to the end. He looked like Carl Weathers.
And so, you know, good for Carl Weathers then, right? He got to be Carl Weathers.
And bad for all of us because we don't have him in the world anymore.
That's right, man. He was one of the good guys. Yeah, I'm really pretty certain. So,
so anyway, just
so that sucks.
Losing legends, that kind of sucks.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, that being said, can you think of any other bands besides Lucifer that have been a recent addition to your world?
Well, I mean, Lucifer pretty much is it, you know, and I just it just made me realize with my dad having some health troubles recently, I had kind of I really wasn't listening to music a whole lot.
So the value and the joy that it brings to you to discover new music is the what you're saying is the thing.
Yeah, you know, now that he's mostly in the clear from a health perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's funny, like almost like a reflex. The first thing that I did was like seek out some new music and found it, and then it was badass and I gobbled it up, and I just thought, you know, man, how awesome it is to be a music enthusiast.
Yeah, you know, it's true. It becomes a part of your life from that point forward. It becomes something that's part of your story going forward. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's part of the tapestry of your life, which is amazing to discover that sort of thing. And we're living in good times in terms of being able to discover music, because there's never been an easier, more effortless way to find new artists. The problem is there's never been an easier, more effortless way to find more artists, because there's just a million, there's like a tsunami. So you can't possibly listen to everybody. And there's probably a lot of great artists out there like Lucifer and like, you know, Firewind and all those bands that, you know, you just can't see them all. And that's unfortunate as an artist putting out music. That's unfortunate for us too, because like you're part of this wave of music that's coming out, and you're sort of hoping, you know, like,
it's easy to feel like the music industry is just like a giant horse defecating indiscriminately.
Yes, exactly.
And you have to like
and you go, God damn it, I respect you.
Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Now back to the show. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of turds out there. But
there's also great stuff out there too. And I think
absolutely.
That's the thing that sucks is it's really equally difficult for the turds and the great stuff alike to be seen and heard. You know what I mean? It's really, really challenging. And I think as a person who's a consumer of music, it's really challenging too, because you just, you know, you can't give everything the attention that it deserves because you'll have so much stuff. And it's just, everyone feels like they're being swarmed with like all this music, you know what I mean? And
yeah, you have to actually put some effort into checking out a few things and then finding a thing. And then,
but when you do though, and you connect with an artist and you go, holy shit, these guys are great.
Oh, dude, I've already told a ton of my students about them and told you about them.
Yeah.
You know, it's
told everyone listening to this podcast about them.
Right. Good, yeah. And so, you know, I hope that some people have the same reaction to Ex Aegis.
Yeah, I do too. Right. I mean, that's the whole point of what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just it's something that's you're right. It's a joyous thing. It's like, wow, this is a new band that I can take with me now. You know what I mean? And this is going to be the thing that is going to inspire my next riff, or my, you know, this is a cool approach to soloing that I never thought of before.
Right. Or even just overall approach and aesthetic. Again, it's like Black Sabbath meets ABBA, but that still doesn't do it complete justice.
Yeah.
Because the songwriting is still there's more interesting things going on than just that.
Well, even just that description is an unusual description. Black Sabbath meets ABBA.
Dude, I love it, man. Dude, their lead singer Johannes Sadonis is awesome. And you know, there's also vocal harmonies on the stuff. There's apparently, from what I've read, they record all analog.
Oh well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
So like on 2-inch tape sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds. I mean, there's definitely it's 70s throwback aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like a music video when they're all in like an old TV studio. It looks like, you know, and all filmed in black and white and stuff, or they'll all be like jamming out in a graveyard, which is great. It's just so great.
Yeah, I mean I think there was actually a wave of bands like that in maybe like the early 2010s. Where there was a bunch of like, you know, 70s ish kind of bands trying to sound like 1972. whether it be like Doors or Deep Purple or Stones or that kind of thing. There was a bunch of bands that came out of the woodwork, especially from the UK around that time.
Right.
You know, which is, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I remember hearing that stuff and thinking that's pretty cool. I remember,
you could say it's kind of like doom or stoner metal, but it isn't exactly. It's too smart to be stoner.
Yeah.
It's definitely doomy, which is also great.
So what you're saying is you get to go and kill things in like an underground tunnel. That's how it works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or above the tunnel. I mean, really wherever.
It's mostly just them narrating. It's just like they have the headsets on. They're just narrating as the music playing.
Yeah.
Dude, go down that tunnel. You should totally kill. No, right there. You got that. You got the BFG. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah. The BFG.
That's mostly what their songs are about.
Nice. That was good. That was good. Yeah.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think it's so fun to find new players and you know, artists that are really great. Like even something from, you know, I hate to say it, I don't find a whole lot of new players per se. I mean, there's some of the artists of the bands I was mentioning before who I get really too thrilled about, because I think one thing that's missing about it, I mean, a lot of the younger guitar players coming out are fantastic musicians and stuff, but there's not this rock and roll sort of thing. There's not like this rock thing about what they do. It's very like, it's too insular. It's
clinical.
Yeah, it's too, I worked this out in my bedroom, and there's no just like wildness to it or out of controlness to it or sort of off the cuffness to it. It just doesn't have that. And I find that kind of off-putting, because I want a little bit of a rock aesthetic to what I hear. And so I keep like leaning towards like new music from older artists. Or the band that actually I find is really, really inspiring to me all the time is Steel Panther.
Totally.
Because those guys,
Russ Parrish is a monster guitar player.
Their songs are
the songs are great. Yeah,
I mean, and the riffs are so great, and the melodies
his melodic sense is why that band is great.
But they really encapsulate what I'm looking for, which is that kind of rock kind of thing. You know, like, dude, we should rock. This is supposed to rock. You know what I mean? And that's something that just I feel like is missing in the world right now. And there's a few other bands. Like we found like the band The Wings of Steel. They kind of had that. There's a few bands like that. They're kind of throwback '80s kind of thing. But I'm
curious to see if Wings of Steel. Curious to see where they are. If that's just like a one-off from some music school.
They got
guys.
the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast bump, of course.
Oh, they must be. Yeah,
they probably are just
top of the charts,
headlining
now.
Donington.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, there's a few other bands like that have that kind of balls out rock kind of thing to it. I just feel like that's not a thing that exists anymore. It's kind of
dude. Check out Lucifer, man. I love it, dude. They're embracing the whole. They have a song called Lucifer.
I mean, that makes sense.
That's all about the dude.
They actually don't. The Beatles have a song called "The Beatles." I think they do, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to. We'll have to ask Judith that question.
Ozzy Osbourne should have a song called "Ozzy Osbourne" on the Beatles. Mainly, it's in his prompter to remind him who he is and where he is.
Sure, yes, you can remember what his name is.
Ozzy Osbourne in Birmingham, England.
It's called "My Name Is Ozzy."
My address is this. Can someone please help me? These are lyrics.
Do not resuscitate. Yeah.
I appear to be lost somewhere. Can someone help me get back to Sharon?
Oh my God.
This is mostly what his lyrics are now.
Ah, poor Ozzy.
Love Ozzy. Ozzy's great. Ozzy's fantastic. Just, he needs help. He needs people to help him.
He does. That's fine. He gave us so much, He gave us so much.
Dude, he gave us Randy Rhoads. Would not have Randy Rhoads without him.
Randy, Jake, absolutely.
Jake, Zach. I mean, all the great players, Joe Holmes, who also is another guy who's very underrated. And Pharmakos. That's another band that I was telling you about. He's got some more music brewing now.
So how many albums does Pharmakos have?
This next one will be their second. The next one that they're chewing on right now.
So like Pharmakos has been around for 20 years and they're on album number 2.
No, they've been on since like 2016. I want to say something like that. 2015, something like that. So they've been on that long.
So 2015 is 9 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
that's nuts.
If you talk to some of the people who come from that background, and this is the same thing that John Sykes is dealing with, like why his record's done but isn't out. They can't get their heads around the idea that you basically just have to put it out for free. So they're waiting for a label to throw some cash at them or something, or they want to have, why won't Sony Records put this out? Of course,
I want to hear some new John Sykes before.
Well, apparently it's there.
Yeah,
it's a matter of not coming out. And then,
okay, you guys are buddies. Could you have him just like play it for us on like a Zoom call or something?
I think there's a couple of tunes that are on the website or something like that. But I doubt those are like final mixes, though. They're probably more demos.
Are they rough?
And Joe Holmes, I think, is a guy who's not interested in rushing stuff out, obviously. But I think he also doesn't. I guess he was. I know when the last album came out, he was like, "Well, I don't know why we'd even sign with." I mean, I totally understand this too. Why would sign a label if there's nothing they can do for us?
Right. If they can't do something for you, you can't do it for yourself.
Yeah. Like, why should I give you 60% of what this is going to possibly make? I can take all of it and just put it on myself.
Okay. So Joe Holmes, if you're out there listening, please pick up the phone. call Lizzie Borden.
Oh,
Make
yes.
it happen.
Yes, Joe Holmes would up. That'd be great. I mean, also get a hold of
Please.
Sharon and say, Sharon, I'm down for doing some shows. You know what I mean? That's be freaking awesome. You know what I mean? And
Okay, maybe they should just do like the Aussie hologram now.
that's true. Well, okay, is that going to go with the Kiss avatars and the Dio hologram? Is that going to
Dude,
be
the Kiss avatars look terrible. I don't know what. Like, that's the last little bit that. Like, that's how I know Kiss should retire. Because they're all low detail, like cartoony looking avatars. They're not.
So I don't understand.
They're
What,
not
is this supposed to be like? What's the show's going to be watching those avatars playing the songs? Is that what it's supposed to be? Or?
I mean, dude, maybe like Kiss at the planetarium or something.
I mean, is that the plan though? Is that going to be like, okay, this is now what Kiss is? These like
I don't know I don't know what the plan is, but I mean, they're just their low detail mocap avatars. It'd be one thing if they were like if it weren't all cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
If they were like high detail, like hyper realistic, photorealistic. I mean, it could still be like fantastical, right? You could make Gene more demony, and you could still go. But I mean, they're like low detail Saturday morning cartoon, child appropriate. It's garbage.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of it's just dumb too.
It's just dumb. Yeah. Well, I mean, the way it's being executed is dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be better if they just hired like successors to like replace them.
Yeah, kind of the Foreigner model. Doing that same sort of thing. Yeah, this is
absolutely. Which would work even better because they're in the makeup. So Gene could like get Spiro, who's been doing the Kiss tribute for like decades now. He could be the new official demon in Kiss.
You know what would be kind of cool with Kiss too is they could have like different touring bands, almost like Transparent Orchestra. Like here's the like 70s Kiss, here's the 80s Kiss, here's the 90s Revenge, Unmasked tour kind of thing. They could actually have different eras of Kiss.
Dude, they could evolve it into get younger guys that can nail the voices and stuff, maybe even better musicians.
Well, that wouldn't be hard, dude. Other than the guitar players, like starting from like Vinnie Vincent forward, you know what I mean?
You could get mega Kiss.
Yeah.
Hell, you could have like 3 guitar players up there. You could do the Spaceman and the Onk.
I don't know,
the Egyptian warrior. There's so many ways you could do Kiss. Take the Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing.
That's what I mean. Like you have like the 80s Kiss touring the East Coast while the 70s Kiss is touring the West Coast or something like that. You know,
or just like molded into like one mega show with 2 different troops that do either coast.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess you want to cover as much ground as possible.
I think that's thinking outside the box towards something sustainable and like new and cool.
I guarantee there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on as to why that's not happening. I'm sure there's like royalty rights that they owe to like Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer. I know Eric Singer's in the band still, so.
I'm sure they've already worked that.
Maybe
like Paul and Gene would just have to run it like a company, and you'd hire people to work for.
I know, but there might be like a royalty they'd have to pay Bruce Kulick or Eric Carr's estate or something like that. That kind of thing.
I'm sure they've already hashed all that out.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe there's something like that behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Like, well, why don't they just do this? Like, well, usually there's a reason when that kind of thing happens. You know what I mean?
I think ego's the reason.
Yeah. Okay, by the way, I found out who is doing your Ultimate Nightmare tour. I just read this earlier because we talked about this like new music thing, right? Mm-hmm. This is not Ryan's idea of new music he's behind. The new Creed tour.
Oh, fuck.
It's going to be Creed, Three Doors Down, and Mammoth WVH opening.
Why, Wolfgang?
I know, exactly. I don't go because he and Tremonti are bros. That's why.
Well, then have Alter Bridge have something without Scott Stapp go on tour.
That's not the original. That's Creed is by every measure bigger than Alter Bridge. At least in the United States, at least in Europe it's different, but in the United States, Creed is much bigger.
So there's this is similar to the other day I asked rhetorically. It's like on Comedy Central they've been running that that dude with the ventriloquist guy.
Oh yeah,
he just does like
is it Bill something?
No, Jeff Dunham. Dude, he just does bonehead stereotype humor.
Yeah.
Like he's the dude with the puppet that's like the suicide bomber. It's a little skeleton with it. Dude, it's horrible. It's just the dumbest stereotype humor.
It's kind of Carrot Top style.
I wouldn't even rip Carrot Top that bad. I don't think Carrot Top is that. I mean, the guy with the dummies. And
so you're saying that the Creed tour is the equivalent of that for music?
Kind of, yeah. Do you like the dummies aren't the ones on stage? I just
No, come on, dude. You know what this is? This is like every 20-year cycle. Like Creed was huge in like 2003, right? That was like that was huge. So what happens? Fast forward 20 years. People who were 19 years old in 2020 or 2003 are now like 40 now, right? So they want to go and go to a show that reminds them of when they were like 20. They want to see those Creed
everything
songs.
Reminds them. I was 20 back. Well, I wasn't. I was older than that. But I mean,
but that's the reason that's happening, though. That you want to. That's why. I mean, you and I are actually weird. We're kind of in because we're just a little bit older than those guys.
I mean, it can't be because of the beautiful sound of Scott Stapp's voice or anything.
The point I'm trying to make, though, is
says or thinks or does.
It's not really about the music. It's about what that makes the person. Reminds them of a time in their life. You know what I mean? That's what that's all about. Same reason that people like when about 10 years ago, everyone started going to see Def Leppard and Bon Jovi shows.
Yeah, but those songs were good.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though, that's the same thing driving it, because you have to realize that we're musicians.
Okay.
We have a certain level of myopia because we care about the music. We want it to be great. And so people who don't have that, they don't carry the burden of wanting music to be great. They just have music that they associate with a certain time frame in their life, and it's not even about the music. The music just sort of marks where they are in their time. And then when they want to feel like they're 20 again, they have to hear that song that reminds them when they were 20. That's what it's about. And this Def Leppard thing was the same thing for most people who aren't musicians. They just wanted to hear that song that they remind them when they were like 19, that kind of thing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
About every 20 years, take whatever time period it is, and every 20, add 20 years to it. That's when the nostalgia for that thing starts happening.
Dude, and I say this as a Stryper fan.
I love Stryper.
But dude, one of the things that always annoyed me about Creed is that, people thought they were a Christian band.
Yeah, but they never owned that though, did they? I mean,
well, Scott Stapp, I'm sure did, so that he could get praise for being a Christian or whatever.
As he was going to get this heroin from his heroin dealer.
Of course, well, when he was hammered, you know what I mean? And that's whatever. I mean, hey, dude, somebody probably turned his water into wine and he took a sip. I mean,
That's the whole story.
Right, yeah.
That's how most alcoholism starts.
Like booze is on the menu, know?
Yep.
That's just another annoying. Like, I think that Creed is a band that people felt like it's safe to be into Creed because they're just good Christians.
Yeah.
I should like Creed.
It's like Skillet now, right? Skillet's the new one like that. That's the Christian.
Yeah, well, dude, I've heard some Skillet stuff and it's not bad. I'm not going to rip on Skillet. I mean, look,
they're like the new version of it. Where it's like they're a Christian
and like
POD,
Christians, like kind of more mainstream, and whatever, dude. I mean, look, they're fired up about cookware, and that's great. You know what I mean? I don't know.
They have an offshoot band called Non-Stick Skillet. There's that one, Cast Iron Skillet.
You know what? Somebody at youth group started calling everyone Home Skillet.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Because they were trying to co-op like urban culture. I mean, whatever.
So there's like a whitewashing going on behind the scenes too, all that stuff. Yeah, I guess.
I just don't find them as odious. I mean, like Mark Tremonti got good at guitar.
He's a really good player, man.
After Creed. Well, when he was in Creed.
No, dude, I had to transcribe a lot of that Creed stuff back in the day. I know, but he still played a lot of really interesting riffs and parts for that time. Are you kidding me?
Really, was that one of them?
Compare that to freaking Spin Doctors. Compare that to like Third Eye Blind or something like that. You know what I mean? It was really
okay. You know what?
Real music.
Hang on, I'm going to defend Third Eye Blind, the great songwriter Stephen Jenkins. Yeah, catchy as fuck.
No, 145.
Okay,
who thought of 145? That's a new thing.
So the problem, you should listen to their third album, Out of the Vein, that's got Crystal Baller on it and some other killer. The guitar tones are. Here's the thing about Third Eye Blind: you don't want to see them live because Stephen Jenkins can't sing. Oh. He's very much not a good singer. Great songwriter, great songs. I'll rep for Third Eye Blind. That was a good. I don't even know if I want to call them a band, but it was a good musical project.
Well, they've got that one massive hit, which will make sure that they can be housed
Jumper.
and clothed forever. You know what I mean?
Good for Stephen Jenkins. That's great. But Creed, we got to talk about Creed again.
They got real playing in that band. I mean, there's some. If you listen to,
that's the one
I'm
song. Out. That spoils all of it.
Nah, that's not true. There's a lot of good stuff. In Creed.
Okay, everybody out there. So comedian David Cross, does a great comedy bit.
Is he famous from? Was it Arrested Development?
He was in Arrested Development.
Parks and Rec. He was in that a little bit too. Right?
I don't think was David Cross in Parks and Rec.
That's like a guest star. I've never seen him in there. I think. So maybe I'm wrong on that.
I'll have to do it. I don't think, but that's okay. But I mean, so he.
But he was Arrested Development. development for sure, right? Yeah.
Mr. Show with Bob and David. Everybody needs to go watch every episode of Mr. Show with Bob and David.
Okay.
Bob Odenkirk of Call Saul, Just Call Saul
Nobody.
fame.
That movie Nobody, which is rad. Have you seen that?
I have it. Is it a Bob Odenkirk thing?
It's Bob Odenkirk. It's basically like John Wick, but with Bob Odenkirk.
That's great.
I kid you not. It's actually really great.
Dude, those two guys, David Cross and Bob Odenkirk, like funniest people alive.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love David Cross.
I remember
He's
Bob
my
Odenkirk,
dude.
but I think the first time I ever heard his name, he was like a writer for Letterman or something. I think that's like he was like one of the writers. Yeah.
So I think David Cross's comedy album, I think it's called Shut Up You Fucking Baby. It's really good though. There's a whole segment, like I'm not even gonna try and repeat it. I don't want to like rip off David Cross's routine.
No.
But he's got a whole thing where he rips Scott Stapp, and he shares a fun anecdote of how after being known for ripping on him, they end up at the same card table at Celebrity Poker. So anyway, I'll only take it that far. Everybody go download or purchase and listen to David Cross's comedy album.
And just to bring it
It's
full
the best.
circle back, that's the thing, discovering new music, whether it's music that was made brand new or music that happens sometimes too. You discover music that,
Unless that music's Creed.
well, you discover music that was made a long time ago that you just missed. You know what I mean? There's like, I think I did this story a while back where I was talking about Danger. There was like 3 or 4 albums that they had done in like the 2000s that I just didn't even know about. It was like found money. It's like walking down the street and finding a $10 bill. Like, holy crap. There's
That's
all
a good
these great-
analogy, yeah.
This is Andy Timmons. He's shredding. What's going on, dude?
Yeah.
I'm used to him being like Mr. I'm Blues guy. I want to hear him just like rip, and he did it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, his generation of guitar players, there was pressure to go more bluesy before the grunge apocalypse.
Well,
I
that
remember
happened after really. Like that was the escape hatch. Like I'm not a shredder. Look, I'm playing blues.
Yeah.
And it became like I'm into the Beatles and blues and the Who. It's like I don't like to shred. I don't do that. I never did that. And then that was kind of what they did. And then
horrible.
you have some other artists who like just like owned it and then said, okay, I'm going to be in the out. I'll be in the shit box for the next 10 years because I'm going to own the.
I'll move to
80s
Europe or
shredder.
Japan.
Yeah, and then there's some of them try to jump on board and say, no, I was really just a blues player all along. I didn't want to do any of that.
I feel like that's kind of who Mark Tremonti is, right? He had to get he had to join a band with like a shitty Eddie Vedder style singer in order to get the record contract.
Dude,
and do
we
the
wouldn't
thing.
know who Mark Tremonti is if he wasn't in Creed. If he
No,
hadn't
I
had his
know.
hits.
I just
mean,
wish
it's-
that I've probably
he was just a great guitar player, and they had his awesome band Alter Bridge. They'd be like an underground band that we would kind of hear about. That
well, I mean,
likes and
Miles
respects.
Kennedy has his connections with Slash.
But would
and-
he have had those connections?
I think he would. Well, he was in the Rockstar movie.
I guess, but
so.
long story short, like he probably wouldn't have been, because I don't think there has been really a hit from Alter Bridge. They're like a radio hit that is like their main. Like, what's their main Alter Bridge song? Their one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean,
there's
the Creed. There's like 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean? And
God, and that just tells me that
Well, no, that tells you-
humanity's stupid.
no, that's just when the time came out, because there was such a thing as radio hits back in those days. In 2002, 2003, 2004, there actually was radio hits. Michelle Branch had a couple. There's a bunch of these. These people, these lesser artists. That sounds bad.
These lesser known artists. Yeah, there you go.
who are
That's
like
what I
they have if you have 1 or 2 radio hits, you can tour forever on that. And that doesn't exist anymore. That's the reason that so many bands struggle now, is because there's not really any one radio. There's like a million outlets. There's Spotify. There's Apple Music. There's internet radio. There's terrestrial radio. There's satellite radio.
Yeah.
There isn't really one conduit to get that out there. But back then in 2002, 2003, there was, and those guys took advantage. They were able to get all these hit songs. Make big videos. There's still major labels putting $600,000 into a video and getting it in rotation. I mean, if that had not happened, Creed would not be what they are now. I mean, they would just be another band.
Man, please tell me that Mammoth WVH is headlining.
No, they're opening the show. It's Mammoth WVH, and then it's Three Doors Down, and then it's Creed. It's like a 90s throwback thing. Although with
people are
WVH.
paying money to listen to air pass through Scott Stapp's vocal cords.
It's true. It is. Well, dude, there's a lot of fans of Creed. I guarantee they're going to be playing arenas the entire year. They'll do great. I mean,
Okay, listeners in America, I just want you to know that this is why we can't have nice things.
No, we can have nice things. We can have both. People can enjoy Creed, and it's almost what your argument's like saying. Like I like McDonald's burgers. I want to make sure that there's no other burgers besides that. It's like there's a million other burgers. You can choose another one if you don't like that one. If you don't like Creed, don't listen to it.
If the McDonald's hamburger were made with actual horse shit, then that's what Creed would be.
All I'm saying is,
so if you're going to tell me that this shitty burger is something everyone should be eating,
one's making you listen
it's already
to it. No one's making you buy a ticket to go see Creed.
Okay, I'm just making the point that like there are people that are like, oh, this tastes like shit. I'll have some more.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of those people.
Well, right, and that's why we can't have nice things.
No, I mean, because the nice things happen at the same time. It's never all or nothing. It's always all of it. There's great stuff happening. Like Lucifer still exists, and so does Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I mean? It's just it's fine.
Did you mention Megan Thee Stallion because we were talking about horse shit?
I'm just trying to think what's like the avatar for the most horrible music you can imagine, and then that or like Cardi B comes to mind. Drake.
I don't know, man. I think I might rather listen to some of that than Scott Stapp make sounds.
You have a thing about like that style of vocals that it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
Oh, I hate it.
I look at that as like that's a time period that's just what everyone was doing back then.
Eddie Vedder should be tried for crimes against humanity for opening his filthy mouth. Yeah.
All right, fine. Okay, on that happy note, we're going to wrap up the Rock Our Console podcast today. Thank you for listening to us, and I'll talk about the joy of discovering new music. Hopefully you guys are doing the same and finding more music that makes your life a better place.
Hopefully Mark Tremonti and Dave Grohl get together and form a band called Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys.
We apologize. Guys, so thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If you want to find out more information about Ryan and I's band or more about us just as people, well, us as people, you'll have to just imagine that.
As a band, the Scott and Ryanites.
Exactly. The website is www.xagesband.com. You can find all of our links to social media on that. Please follow us on social media and interact, and go check out our YouTube. We have lyric videos up for our album, our hits off the album.
Hits from our self-titled debut album. And again, that website is www.exagesband.com.
You got it. And you guys all take care of each other, and I will see you here, and Ryan will see you. We'll both see you here next time.
Peace.